Alright, to be honest, I've been recording this a little too late for my own liking, but I want to make sure that I knock the rest of these out, so all I have to do for the rest of the week is edit away. Hello everybody, my name is David, you can call me Zen, and welcome back to another episode of Talesofarise. In the previous episode, we got Xion back. If you want to know the full details of that, I would highly recommend you go watch the previous episode because there was a lot that went on, and it is a wonderful cutscene to watch once we get her back, as well as some subsequent skits. This time, we're going to push on ahead and we're going to head on out towards the castle, and hopefully we might be able to get through the entire castle in this part. I haven't decided fully on what exactly I wanted to do just quite yet, but before we move on, let me make sure that I actually have Xion in the party, because lordy, was it an experience to not have her in the party. I think that this is the lineup that I'm probably going to be fine with going into the upcoming battles with. Rinwell's going to be like my flexible party member slot, where if she's not working, then Dolahim can come in. If he's not working, Sara can come in, etc., etc. But we should go on ahead and head out to the front of the temple. I guess it's a temple, not a castle. You know, these are like little things that you think I'd know, unless I don't want to talk about it. Sometimes whenever you do like a lot of these major cutscenes in the game, and like even in pre-recording, sometimes I'll like sit and do this where I just spin in a circle. It may end up with me becoming a lot more turned around. I was like, temple? I mean, I was fine with it being called a temple, but if it was actually a castle, I would prefer to call it by, you know, a castle. But the reason why I was wrong was because I was heading in the wrong direction. But now that we're actually here, we can actually go ahead and get things started by heading towards the castle entrance. Talesofarise Castle. Now, I kind of alluded to this in the previous episode, but this is going to be a very battle-centric dungeon, especially in comparison to some of the other ones that we've done throughout the series. So, I hope you guys are ready for a lot of fighting, a lot of yapping, and a lot of cutting.
Well, the royal welcome was nice while it lasted.
Time to get our fists dirty, huh?
Wait, we don't have a plan!
As far as law's concerned, this is the plan. Let's go!
Okay, I really need to stop yapping in the middle of cutscenes, but that's okay. But yeah, so a lot of the party members are actually going to find some sort of good use here, and that's just something that I do want to. Hey, chill out. That's something that I do want to bring basically to everyone's attention. And honestly, I also wanted to add that I'm actually like so glad that I do have my blazing sword ability again, but I do have to be careful. Okay, no sir, you are not casting spells. But what I wanted to point out is that now that I at least have the blazing sword back, right? Hey, chill. Rinwell's thing isn't up. We're just gonna have to deal with whatever spells come out in a second. But as I was saying, all the party members are going to find at least some sort of use here. Xion's big thing's gonna probably be her healing capabilities, because I'll be real, using Dolahim for that was like sufficient. But when I redid the boss fight battle for the Bird on the Mountain, it was not sufficient at all. It was rough, and I'm just glad to have like someone who has a much more dedicated healing role back in the party. Oh, nice dodge. I don't know why I said like nice dodge, like oh, there we go. I was gonna try to do at least my regular Mystic Art there, but I did not hit any of the moves correctly in time.
Those soldiers were just like the slaves, driven by a warped sense of loyalty.
Yeah, that was just about as hollow a victory as they come.
It's strange. I always thought loyalty was one of the greatest virtues out there. Now I'm not so sure. Is it simply a question of where your loyalties lie? Or is it fealty itself that's the problem?
Maybe it only becomes a problem the moment you stop thinking for yourself.
So if we defeat Volron, you think they might learn to think independently again?
Actually, no. Never mind. This isn't the time. We can worry about that after we finish the task at hand and defeat Volron.
As expected.
You guys can see, like, even now, like, Kisara still has the potential to really develop even more. So, one thing that I am going to do that's gonna be pretty important coming up is that I am going to use a happy bottle because, like I said, there are going to be a lot of fights coming up.
A grandiose castle for a grandiose city. He really didn't cut any corners.
They're certainly akin to each other.
Actually, how long has he been the
I'd say
Lord,
the
I
castle
wonder?
seems even more reflective of its owner's personality.
In what way?
It feels overbearing, tyrannical almost, but more than anything, merciless. As if any pretense to ease of living was sacrificed in favor of sending a message. One of domination and a thirst for total power.
I do love that everybody stays, like, pretty in character, though,
In
too.
other words, the perfect domicile for our power-crazed foe.
That's why he let us in. It's precisely the message he wanted to convey. Almost like he's mocking us.
That bastard's in the mood to play. We'll see who's laughing once we've taken him down a peg or two.
Or 3. Oh, sorry. I saw another skin. I was like, let's get that in before the battle.
Burning even more brightly than before.
Yeah, as if the astral energy within it has become more powerful somehow.
It would appear Alphen has learned to harness his sovereign abilities to even greater effect.
Is that true, Alphen?
I'm not sure. I don't think I'm doing anything differently.
Well, your new Mystigar says
It's
otherwise.
proof of your strengthened bond with Shion. No further explanations needed.
Oh man, for real? Nice!
Is that true?
How am I supposed to know?
Fat lot of good the two of you are.
I may have a theory or two I could offer.
Yeah, no, I think we're good.
Now that you mention it, though, I guess I have noticed a change. It's like there isn't as much resistance when energy's being siphoned from my Master Core.
Aha! So it is a bond thing! Aw, you guys!
Shut up, Law. I mean, it's
Get it out of
true.
your hand. That thing practically used to give you third-degree burns every time you wielded it, right?
Kisara's got a point. And if it's gotten even hotter since then...
I won't lie. The searing heat and pain are almost unbearable. Almost. When I'm fighting, I'm somehow able to endure it. It's like the sword becomes part of me or something. Like I can feel it pulsing through my
It's
chest.
giving Guilty Crown to me. I think I had mentioned that, like, very, very early on.
Your heart burns with a flame more powerful than even that of the sword. Fascinating.
Yeah, take it from our resident poet laureate.
Wait, Laureate's a new word. I've watched this skit before, obviously, because I had recorded this before. But where did... I didn't even know that his vocabulary exceeded a lot.
With this,
Alright, I was trying to... Oh, I need to go. But I was trying to get the other Mystigar going at the time. And I unfortunately just kept missing, like, the window for it. It was rough.
So where is he?
There's no sign of him here, so I can only assume he's waiting for us in his throne room.
what's with all the fake suspense? Why doesn't he just come out and face us?
I'll say. It's not like he's had any problem doing that in the past.
This is all one big game to him. He's probably savoring every last moment.
Like a Zoogle toying with its food before the kill. No wonder he doesn't have any friends.
This is all just a ploy to weaken his prey, wearing us down before the final ambush. It's all too well orchestrated to be anything else.
Alvin?
I'm fine. Once we defeat Volron, the final Master Core will be ours. With that, we can create the Renaissance and finally put an end to this whole nightmare.
I wonder if the Renaissance is really going to work in the long run to cure Xion of her thorns. But yeah, this is one of those times where, yeah, we're fighting the wolves here. So a lot of the wildlife that we've been fighting up in the Land of the Water that we saw earlier this week, it's also going to be here. So there's going to be the wolves and the turtles as well. Okay, there we go. I really need to figure out, hey, chill out. All right, one. So this is gonna be like the notoriously hard part to try to get the, hey. Oh, I'm so bad. So I noticed that because of the length of these battles, Alphen does tend to get his overlimit at least once a battle. So it is something that, kind of comes together pretty nicely, I would say. So I'm sure that as long as I keep my counts right, where I can hit him with 5 different arts, we should be a-okay. All right, another battle done. So, like I was mentioning before, these guys are the ones who are going to be giving us a lot of the illustrious astral crystals. So they're going to be 100% worth the fight. The other thing that they do drop a lot of at the time is going to be a lot of the, a lot of peach gels. So hopefully we won't actually have to run to a need where we're going to need to use a lot of orange gels. But like I said, this is a very, very big dungeon. One thing that I do wish, and I brought this up before in earlier videos, is that I really do wish that a lot, oh, that was, you know, that works, is that, I think that this game does have a little bit of a health bloating issue when it comes to the different, mobs in this game. And I mean, it allows for more, in-depth combo potential. But in the same token, right, ooh, we got a nice dodge off, nice. But as I was trying to say though, it allows for a very like heavy combo potential, but in the same token, right, it ends up making some of these fights drag out to what I feel like is so long. And don't get me wrong, it may be possible that I'm just not rethinking about different Tales games and how long their battles were in the past. But I just remember that normally the normal encounters across like most of the Tales games prior to this one, they used to be very short. Okay, so what's basically going to be ongoing and like upcoming is that we're going to be lowering this. They were talking about it, but we're going to be lowering that drawbridge, and it isn't going to be too big a deal. But there are going to be battles everywhere as we are working to unlock those. All right, sweet. So that is Alphen's other Mystic Art right there. I was able to get a break on this guy, and actually I had to really like lock in for the combo. But I'm kind of glad that I did. It's a very cool looking Mystic Art. And thankfully for some of these more agile units, I'm glad that we have Dolahim's as a counter to them. But Eternal Destruction has been one of my favorite moves to use, I have to say. But I do wish that we end up I wish that sorry. This is what happens when I try to do words to do gameplay combat at the same time. What I'm trying to say is that I wish that this game took a higher liberty with the with like their character kind of choices and the weapons that they use. Of course, you know, because this is like a traditional like JRPG, right? They have to have their typical, like, the main hero has to be like a warrior most of the time. For some reason, they have this built-in notion that the love interest also has to, or the primary love interest or the main heroine, right? They have to be a healer to some extent. The only game that's kind of broken that the only Tales game I can think of that's kind of broken that convention a little bit. And don't get me wrong, there have been a couple of them, but I think it's also a trope that might be slightly overplayed a little bit. But I think of Tales of Symphonia where Colette, albeit not the greatest unit, in my opinion. Oh, come on. I activated my Mystic Art there. I'm just flopping right now with like my combo potential. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that y'all have to witness that. But Tales of Symphonia, Tales of Xillia. Though you can also argue that because of the dual protagonist system, Mila would count towards that. Okay. So as you guys can see, there are going to be two separate paths here. One kind of south in this direction, and then one kind of closer to the more northern end. There, we are going to be exploring both. Don't you worry. But man, there's going to be a lot of battles. You know, if you guys saw how clean of a finish that was, I think y'all would be pretty impressed with me. But unfortunately, the reality is that y'all did not get to see it. Well, that's okay. All you guys really need to know is that I think I'm slowly starting to get the Mystic Art timing down for that move in specific. All right, and also the good news is that I do know where a good chunk of like the different materials and stuff are, so I can actually make like a run for it if I feel like I gotta. Oh yeah, these guys are here too. All right, we got a new piece of weapon gear over here. Nothing else, and not too crazy. It's a battle suit for Alphen. Let's go ahead and put that on him. And this will probably be as good a time as ever to probably do a little bit of orange gel replenishing. Just because I know that Xion has been putting in work when it's coming to the healing. But a good rule of thumb for you guys to follow, just in case you guys are playing along, each of these rooms, the other area is laid out fairly similarly. So there's going to be a whole bunch of mini rooms with at least a singular battle in there and some sort of reward in them as well.
Nicely done.
Oh my goodness, I keep forgetting that we still have so many battles coming up. So I'm not going to fight the guys off to the right on camera, just so you guys know. So I'll see you guys back after I win both battles. All right, now that I'm no longer disoriented, we got to actually head over here as quickly as we can. I want to see if we can kind of maintain that that gauge for as long as we can. So one thing to note, by the way, is that when we head back from where we are currently, the unfortunate reality is that the guys are going to be respawned. It's one of the kind of more frustrating things about this dungeon, in my opinion, and why it kind of gets knocked down a couple pegs for me, because the fact that the exploration is already intense enough as it is, only to then have it basically be hindered by a lot of these battles. And obviously this is probably like, you can probably take a drinking game to how many times I've mentioned the battles in this, by the way. And while it's not necessarily a bad thing, because it's a lot of additional experience, a lot of additional SP, and most importantly, it's a lot of materials which you can sell for money. But as you guys can kind of see, we had gotten quite a few treasure chests this time around, where oh whoops, I really messed that up. I'm sorry that you had to witness that. But as I was trying to say, right, we aren't going to be super hurt for cash probably by the end of this, just because of how many battles that we're going to inevitably have to do. So it's one of those things where you kind of sit there like, why did they set it up this way? But that said, though, I think I wanted to use this as probably a good opportunity to go on ahead and talk about the combat system, kind of what I've thought about it so far, since we're kind of we're getting closer to like the latter half of this game, obviously, because you know we are doing a lot of battling with the with the Fifth Lord's troops. This is like the last one we need before we get the Renaissance, right? So one of the things, no, did I do it in time? Hold on, sorry. Did I do it in time? Yes, I did. Sweet. And also we have a new mob here as well, so this is probably as good a time as any to go and try to really get something set up and organized. So some of my initial thoughts is that it took a while for this combat system to really click with me, I think. And a lot of that just kind of has to do with just the way that the skills kind of bleed into one another. And one of the things that I really like, and I can't remember if this was initially a skill or if it was a sorry, I couldn't remember if it was a skill that I learned in my skill tree or if it was always like this. But I like our comboing capabilities a lot, because in a lot of the older Tales games, right? The beginner and advanced arts were two different things that you couldn't really combine nearly as well, I guess. Which was because you always had to do beginner into advanced. And it meant that there wasn't nearly as much combo potential until, I know in later entries, I think they made it so that way you could use intermediate skills with beginner ones, so that way you could kind of keep this unique flow going. And I'm glad that they actually had addressed that and really tried to fix that up. With that said, though, I do think it does have a little bit of its flaws. You guys have already heard me talk a lot about the bloat that this game tends to run into as far as like some of these mobs go. Like, for example, this big boy. I think that obviously this Zoogle should have a lot of HP. It's big, right? But considering that this isn't a proper mini boss, and more of just like a big elite mob, it is kind of upsetting. Oh, I messed that up so bad. It's kind of upsetting to see that we're spending a lot more time fighting this guy than, you know, progressing on with the dungeon, ultimately the story. Like, most of the time that I fought these guys in the original recording of this dungeon, I had already went on ahead and just cut a good chunk of these fights out because they are so long. And it's very upsetting, because I think if you can get in and out of battles pretty fast and just have the boss fights be long, then that ends up being I think a lot better for the game overall. With that said, though, you could also argue this the other way. Obviously, we are in the Fifth Lord's base. They could be pulling out a lot of the stops to really try and slow us down. And the characters have said it themselves. Balron could have easily just shown up and tried to take us out whenever he wanted, really, because it had taken us quite some time to even become strong enough to face him in the first place. So with that said, this could all be viewed as more of like a testing ground to really see like what our cast of characters is capable of. But I can dive in a little bit more specifically to I want to talk a little bit about the boost break system. I think the boost break system is pretty cool. It is definitely one that I had initially didn't entirely jive with, but as I started learning a little bit more and more about how each of the different characters kinds of plays into the combat, and also the other fact that I don't need to have the other I don't need the other party members in the party to use the other effects. Like, that's just chef's kiss, you know. Another thing I'd love to note is that being able to swap my party mid-combat has also been very helpful. I think that was a nod from Tales of Berseria, was one of the ones that I recall having relatively full access to the whole party. And I wonder, but I will say that I think one of my favorite things about this system is that it isn't overwhelming. A lot of the nods about the combat have all been kind of like gradually introduced, and while I didn't get it at first, and I had to kind of play around with all the pieces together all at once now that we've gotten them, it's been very fun. I'd argue that this Tales game probably has one of the most fun combat systems. I don't know if it's my absolute favorite, but the fact that it can be as close as it is amazing. Not to mention how flashy like some of these finishers are, and probably how much OBS is screaming at me to like chill out. Sorry, I wasn't ready for that teleport. All right, so I know that we've actually gotten a good amount of equipment while we've been kind of passing through here. I think it's probably a good time to take a quick little stopping moment to put on the new equipment for both Renwell and Law. We're both currently in our party, so I think the defense boosts that they both just got would probably be greatly appreciated. One of the things that I do need to work on, though, is probably our accessories. It's been one of those systems that, like, I want to interact with, don't get me wrong, but it seems like I'm not super big on the ore hunting. It definitely feels like one of those things where I would much prefer doing a little bit of a Google moment and figure out exactly like where do I find these minerals usually, and then what do I need to cook in order to make this like notably easier. Okay, so sorry about that. I wanted to go on ahead and check some of the additional graphic settings before we continued. One of the things I turned on was resolution scale. So this game is gonna look even more pretty than it already does. So we're gonna try and put that to the test in this battle. I keep forgetting that, and despite how gorgeous this game looks, from a technological standpoint, I know that one of the things that I've kind of worked on is that obviously I have a very, very powerful computer, and I'm primarily playing some of these games in 1080p. So in these more modern titles that have things like resolution scale, I can actually afford to increase the graphical fidelity of things even further. Hey, chillette. I wonder if I could combine Swallow Dance into Dragon Swarm. Hold on. Will that... And yeah, oh yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about with the combo. I've actually wanted to experiment with a lot of the different arts that have been presented to me in the game.
Any injuries?
Which I shouldn't say is a rarity amongst the different Tales games for me. It's something that I always enjoy doing. I also know that mobs are going to appear after I grab this treasure chest. I'm just a wimp. There we go. But you guys have seen, like, outside of showing off in this game, outside of having my air combo moves that I actually really enjoy, fact of the matter is that I'm also just a super big fan of a lot of the arts and kind of how they function. Hey, chill with that stalagmite. That wasn't necessary. But yeah, I can't really count on a lot of the different Tales games where I'm actually like outside of maybe trying it because of the fact that it's a new art, that I'm like, hold on, to, I messed that up. That's okay. Scarlet Inferno's still Scarlet Inferno's still incredibly powerful, all things considered. All right, this wolf is going to be destroyed easily. Now the real question is, did the other mob? Okay, the other mob did get caught in that.
I'm pretty worn out.
I love that Shion's like, I'm pretty worn out, and I'm like, and what about it? I was about to say, being pretty worn out isn't going to clear this dungeon, you know?
It'll be a breeze. Get in.
I need to be
Getting more consistent with casting Blazing Pillar, and I'm super excited to actually have that like consistently down. Though I know that it heavily depends on what arts I actually have on and which ones am I kind of actively using. All right, I like to think that we're making pretty good progress overall, and you guys may see that I'm trying to like sprint through and make sure that I keep the chain battle thing going. And I really hate the Zoogles that just like suddenly pop up, man. I don't know why, but anytime anything like blinks into his existence, it just causes me to jump a little bit, and I hate my wee little heart. It's not even October yet. It's not time to be spooked. All right, I'm gonna switch out Law for a little bit in favor of having Kisara in the party. I don't think that she's had an opportunity to shine in the limelight outside of literally my thumbnails and my videos. So I think having Mother here is gonna be very much so appreciated. But we're almost at the top of the North Tower. There's going to be probably, yeah, I was gonna say there's gonna be some more mobs, a lot of them. So it might make more sense to kind of clear these guys out and then meet you guys back after the fact. I believe there's at least 3 battles. Unless I have something to talk about. We'll kind of play it by ear. Yeah, there was a time where I had actually gotten like maybe I think when I had left here in the original recording, I had like 60 of those astral crystals. I had more than enough to like fully upgrade everybody and really kind of flesh them out, as well as a different opportunity to make money to stock up on healing supplies as well. So this actually can make a fantastic grinding spot if you feel the need before fighting Valron to really like stock up on everything, as well as just get a lot of XP to just, you know, level up, make life a little bit easier. But trust me, I don't blame you. Some of these boss fights, especially the Zoogle related boss fights, I'll say they could be something else. Is that everybody? That looks like everybody. So I know for a fact that I'm probably going to lose my happy meter, because if this is anything like the previous one, there's not going to actually be a battle over here, but it's just going to be an additional chest for a piece of gear for the party. Which, once again, not a bad thing. It makes me sad there's no ores in this castle, by the way. But it at least gives us more and more equipment to kind of go on ahead and face Valron head on with. One of the more important things that I kind of think of when it comes to preparing for these different boss battles, right, is the fact of the matter is, I'm gonna have to use it. My last happy bottle. Also got red chamomile. I don't know who's supposed to have this stat. I'm just gonna give it to Alphen. Well, I'll see you guys after this fight, I guess. Can I just point out and say that Frozen Hammer, like a lot of Kisara's additional moves are so extra, and like in like a cunty way, you know? Oh, not this being the bonus mob. I hate it here. I'll have to admit that was not a very cute fight for me. That was very, very awkward. That's okay. We can have awkward fights for once in my life, so. Anywho, I think we're actually almost at the spot that we actually need to be at. The one thing, you know, I had found out when I went the alternate direction as well, but there is another, going this other path wasn't all in vain. We actually have another wheel thingy that we have to turn here. So it's actually pretty important that we actually went on ahead and headed down over here as well. So don't worry, there's always a method to my madness. Even though I think people would just consider me just mad, you know, like in the sense, you know, like crazy, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You know, the usual. Anywho, let's go ahead and jump down. So, off camera, I think what I'm going to do is that we actually have a lot of money and a lot of preparations that we can now make now that we have a lot of said money. So I'm gonna use this as my opportunity to go and head out towards the you know, I put me at the front of the castle with the fast travel, but I know I mean the dude that's like right outside of why is his the dude that's right outside of Palladian? Goodness, I don't know why I couldn't remember him. But I'm gonna go on ahead and take care of all that stuff and get back to like the front floor area off camera. So we are gonna go on ahead and wrap things up here, assuming that we don't have an in conversation waiting for us. So let's go on ahead and check that out real fast before I completely sign off. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the elemental defense up. We've been dealing with a lot of spell casting. So, you know, we're gonna have a good time. So yeah, we do actually have one in conversation. So let's actually talk to Shion. Let's maximize that reconnection, that bond.
Mind if we chat a bit?
Now there's something I never thought I'd hear you say.
Remember when we talked about what it was like for me growing up? Well, I thought it only fair that I also get to ask what you were like as a child.
My childhood? Maybe you missed the memo that was going around, but I can't remember anything of my past.
I remember doing this one too.
Just whatever you can remember. There's gotta be something, right?
Let me think. Well, have I ever told you about my army days? Back when I used to serve under a Danon master?
Yeah,
no.
That must have
You
been
know, I remember bits and pieces,
right?
but never like these whole
Do you
conversations.
happen to remember anything from back when you were younger?
Actually, I remember I had a kid with me.
You had a kid?
No, of course not. The child's father was another soldier. Back in those days, we
Could you imagine if Alphen actually had a kid and this was his way of like telling
We
us?
just fought for them and didn't even question it. When that kid's dad died and I saw them sitting there crying, I felt this bitter, indescribable feeling. It was like I was
And you know,
drinking
being a good
something
person.
toxic that I knew I shouldn't, but couldn't stop. It was strange. I never understood why I reacted like that. Soldiers died every day. It wasn't anything new.
Probably because the
What
kid
it
was
tells
there.
me is that deep down, you were the same man then as you are now. You've never been able to accept injustice in the world.
If you keep talking like that, you're going to embarrass me. I wonder whatever happened to that master and poor kid. Not that there's any way of knowing now. You know, I just remembered that kid was good at sewing dolls. They gave me one once. It was a good
I
luck
wonder
charm to
if
protect me.
I do wonder if we're gonna find that good luck charm, or find that one that Shion was talking about in the first time we had that night conversation. And I picked up a pencil. I needed something in my hands while the skits were going, like something to just like mess around with.
Come on, guys.
But
We've got lots
on
to
that
do.
mark, I believe that we are as good as any to go on ahead and end things off. So next time that we play Tales of Arise, we are gonna go on ahead and continue our way through the castle. I think that we don't have too much left for us to do because that was a lot of area already and a lot of fighting already. So I want to say thank you to each and every one of you guys who sat around and watched the video. Go ahead and leave a like or subscribe, both of which will help the channel grow. And it'll lead me to want to do more things like this. And as always, I'll go ahead and see you guys in the next one. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day.